5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello humans, this is Retro Rocket Man. Today I'm looking at customizing this SpinMaster Superman. Picked it up for about $15 at my local Kmart here in Australia. He's quite a striking figure. He's got all the nice details. He's not the classic Superman because he hasn't had the red undies, but he certainly has all the other attributes that you would expect from Superman. Good face sculpt, nice clean deco on the S there. There's a shiny cape, nice deco logo on the back, the transfer I think, but that's got to go. I'm going to keep it for later, I'm thinking, for something else maybe, I don't know what yet. Nice sculpted details, you can see the musculature, and he has a bit of his articulation, bending knees, right angles, hips, shoulders, elbows, and swivels all around, wrist articulation, and the head does a complete 360. That's about it. A little bit of tilt, but that's not much at all. It's a nice Superman overall. So after removing the cape, I had to cut it off because I can't take the figure apart to get it open, so I just had to run it with a Stanley knife to remove it. So I'm going to be using Milliput to sculpt the S symbol on the chest. I want to have it embossed. And this stuff, it's a 2-part epoxy putty that cures in about 3 to 5 hours depending on the ambient conditions. So you just knead the 2 parts together, equal parts, just like that, and it becomes putty in your hands to knead and mould to whatever shape you like, and it dries rock hard like concrete. It's a little bit sticky, as is its nature, which is also good for just applying it to surfaces. You just mould away. It's a bit tricky doing this emblem, and I did most of it out with the camera off because I needed to look at it properly. So now that it's rock hard, that's my starting point, and then I'm going to move on to the toilet paper and glue method because I want to create a lovely texture in his suit to just give it a lot more interest. And this method's pretty easy. It's a bit of watered down PVA glue, and then you grab your toilet paper and just press it into place. Let the glue soak into the toilet paper, saturate it, and then you simply brush on more of the glue solution till you get it to the consistency and texture that you like. You can go heavy with it and create a completely different texture. I've used a ribbed toilet paper because I like the line work in it, just to give it an extra added texture to the suit. So I'm not going to go too heavy with the brush because I want to keep a lot of that ridging, but I will naturally through this process lose it anyway. And basically you're just plastering the surface of the figure with this solution and paper, and it dries rock hard too. So here it is with grey primer applied. It's just brought the figure all together. All the patchiness is gone from the toilet paper, and it gives you a much better idea what the final result might look like. Once the primer is dry, next step is to give him an all-over matte black spray, just with black acrylic, because he's predominantly black. I haven't worried about the face of the hands because I'll just paint that with a flesh colour afterwards. So now I'm just going to redo the paint on his face. Naturally he's got black hair, so I don't need to worry about doing that. So just carefully doing the ears. Pick a good brush for this because it's important that you have one that's going to get into all those corners without having a messy touch off on the areas you don't want the flesh colour to go. Naturally the neck area as well. Any areas where he's not wearing his suit that are exposed, any skin areas. This is going to require at least 2 coats of flesh colour just to properly cover the black and make sure it's not patchy looking. Now for some silver details on the emblem, because the source material shows this particular suit incarnation as predominantly black with the silver contrasts. Just carefully keeping within the lines as best I can. His belt and buckle also silver, just taking it slow and steady. Now I want to do some highlights on the body of the suit, and I'm going to use a metallic blue eyeshadow just to, like in a dry brush fashion, accentuate the muscles and all the high areas of the suit, just to give it some contrast and some interest. Given the rough texture of the toilet paper and glue process, this also is highlighted through this process too. And it's quite dramatic. It's a subtle finish, and you can just catch it in certain lights. Just my little take on how it looks, and it just brings out all that musculature and creases and wrinkles. Great stuff. You can see the difference between the 2 legs. One I've done, the other one I haven't. Just gives it an extra level. Using the brown liquid shoe polish on the flesh tones, just is another way to create depth and show up all the sculpting details instead of looking flat and uninteresting, and also gives him a bit of a tan. Brush it on and then dab it off, that way you get that motley texture in the skin, because most people's skin tones have lots of imperfections, and this in some ways tends to mimic that look. Really brings out those accented neck muscles and shows the the stoic strength that is synonymous with Superman. The same approach for the hands, just to bring out the knuckles and the fingers and the tendons in the back of the hands. Good stuff. Now applying the black liquid shear polish to the silver areas, just to tarnish them down a little bit. Just heightens that level of reality, real world sort of. You'd expect things to get scuffed and dirty. It also helps to bring out any of the line work. So it breaks up the silver a little bit, and again just makes things pop. Just as an extra bit of detail, I'm painting the top of his boots with the silver contrast. There have been different versions of Superman in his black suit. Some just have the black continuing on all the way through to his boots, but I'd just like to break it up a bit. Again, creates a bit more interest to the eye. And again, applying the tarnishing method, just so everything doesn't look quite so clean. Just putting some detail around the eyes. I've decided to make him a bit of an angry Superman, so he's going to have inflamed redness around his pupils. I'll be just painting the whites of his eyes with no pupils, so he's going to look quite angry and in some respects a bit on the evil side. Betting you'd be pretty pissed too if you were dead and brought back to life. Carefully painting the eyebrows. I've got a shaky hand at best of times, so this was quite difficult for me, but I didn't do too bad. Moving on to the cape, just using a bit of taffeta. I'm going to use the original cape as a template, although I'm going to make the new cape just a little bit bigger, a bit more volume. Simply just going to trace around it with a white pencil, sketch it out to the dimensions I want, and then cut it with some scissors. And this stuff doesn't fray, so I don't need to sew it. Just as well, I'm crap at sewing. And once I've cut it, I'm just going to glue it down with some PVA glue. So there you go, humans. This is the end result. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. It is quite a bit different from the way it used to look out of the packet, but all the bones were there to create this character from the original character. It's a nod to the Henry Cavill, Zack Snyder black-suited version of Superman. So anyway, humans, thanks for watching. This is Retro Rocket Man. I'll see you in the next one. Over and out.